Hey, what's going on, guys? Me, Shreddin, Picture, and back with a video. And today we got a new one. Oversimplified, the Pig War. Now, you guys probably know Oversimplified. They're a big history channel. I love them. I think they do a great job of what history goes on and actually makes it entertaining for people to watch. And if you're a teacher, these are really good guys to show in your classroom, of course. But I see myself as a decent history buff. May not know everything. I might not be correct on everything, but I do love history, and I do think it's very important for people to learn, which it is. People say it's not, which in reality it is. And actually probably one of the most important subjects, to be honest. But anyways, enough about what the fucking New Days is. We're going to go based on the Pig War. I never heard of this. Most of these wars, that like the smaller mini wars that they do, I've never heard of. Of course, I know about the bigger wars like World War II, World War I, Korea, all the other big wars and stuff, Napoleonic Wars. All those wars I know about. But like these smaller ones, like the Emu War, I never heard a fucking word about. I never heard about the soccer war. Actually, no, I've heard about the soccer war. I think it was Honduras versus El Salvador. It's like went on for like 4 days or something like that. Forget. But no, I got. That's why they're so good, because they do all these mini wars, like the Falkland Wars and stuff like that. But I think they're a great channel. Their description will be in the description, so please go out there and give them a subscribe, because I think they do a really good job. Anyways, let's get into this.
This video was made possible by NordVPN. Click the link below to stay safe online and get a huge discount off a 2-year plan with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Trouble sleeping? Need someone to snuggle? Then why not snuggle me, the limited
I'm just gonna let the things pass because they deserve it.
edition Oversimplified plushie is available for pre-order for a few days only. Get it quick along with some beautiful new character pins.
Fucking
Look at us, boys. We've only gone and bloody done it. We beat the Brits and secured independence. Now to expand westward and conquer the rest of the continent. Thomas? It looks like a bunch of different people already live out west. What? Oh no, that means we can't expand. I hate my life. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't say they were white people.
Oh, oh God. Well, that shows a little bit of racism. But no, people were America was a very brutal country when it first came up. Like, if you look back at history, we did some fucked up shit. But we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. So it's a blessing and a curse. I still feel sorry for them, how we treated them, but the way for America had to be done. Why does that do a fucking Star Wars with Lord Palpatine back here? Lord Pigpatine. Pigatine? I don't know how to say it.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, when the United States secured its independence from Great Britain, the two sides met in Paris to settle the terms. Among various things, they discussed American territorial gains, and the British granted them a generous amount of land out west. However, Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an additional fascination. Oh, Canada. So voluptuous. You think we can maybe acquire some of that? Quit ogling our territory. But look at those curves. I'd worry less about Canada.
Making me uncomfortable.
Canada's curves, and more about your own curves, Benjamin.
Oh.
Many in America suggested that one day, the Canadian colonies should become a part of the United States. In response, Britain suggested that many in America should shut the hell up. Well, if Britain wasn't going to give up Canada, then the two sides had to agree on where to put their border. Easy enough for the most part. Follow some existing borders, add in a few rivers and lakes, maybe even a parallel for good measure. But then there was a question. What would happen here? Straight line, straight line. And so it was. The border would go from the northwesternmost point of this perfectly oval-shaped lake and continue in a straight line westward until it met the Mississippi River. Perfect. Or was it? Well, as it turned out, the lake didn't actually look like this, but like this. And the Mississippi wasn't here, but here. So in the end, none of that made even the slightest bit of sense. Don't blame the founding fathers. They were just using the best map available. Blame the guy who made it. But to the minds of the day, the issue had been solved. And it was finally time to start getting along. Oh, back to war they go. The Glorious War of 1812 saw the Americans try to invade Canada, and the British burned down the White House. But when all was said and done, it was pretty much a draw. And once again, America and Britain had to enter into peace negotiations. By now, both sides realized the original border they came up with.
Britain, you try that shit again, bro, we'll fuck your ass up. I don't know why I'm talking gangster. What the fuck?
Was a piece of hot garbage. And since America had also recently obtained a huge amount of land from Napoleon, they decided they would need to re-examine the border issue. Straight line, straight line. And so it was. To fix the problems of the previous border agreement, they decided to go from the northwesternmost point of this lake, as had been previously agreed, down to the 49th parallel, and from there the line would go straight as an arrow up until the Rocky Mountains. But beyond the Rockies, the two sides couldn't quite agree on where it would go next, because both sides claimed the territory beyond the Rockies was theirs. See, throughout its early history, America as a nation had its eyes heavily fixated on all that juicy land out west, ripe for invasion. Settlementation. America wanted to expand. Not only was it their right, some believed it was a destiny given to them by God himself to multiply and spread across the continent, like rats or disease. Okay, guys, just before we take over everything, God definitely said this is what we're meant to do, right?
Yeah, that's what he said, right? Isn't that what he said?
And who was it who spoke to God?
It was Billy, right? I thought it was Sharon's cat. I hear voices all the time.
Well, it was one of us. There's no way we made this whole thing up to justify our ruthless collective imperialist tendencies. All right, well, in that case, let's get out there and make the world a better place, just as God intended. This belief.
That's a fair way to put it. I think that's we were, like I said, we were pretty fucking ruthless to the Indians and, well, Native Americans. Sorry if you guys are fucking panties in a fucking bunch. But no, we were pretty fucking ruthless. And I think we should give back a little bit. Like, not land, but like money. Actually help support them a little bit. But we did some horrible fucking shit. Like, the chicken pox fucking shit. No, not chicken pox. It was chicken pox or smallpox. For sure smallpox. We give them like smallpox on blankets and then give it to them. Because they didn't have anything to fight it with, but we did. So it was like a really, really like fucked up way to like start with. It's like chemical warfare, basically. Well, it is chemical warfare because that is a disease, but it's kind of fucked up.
Belief in divinely destined expansion would later be given its very own name, Manifest Destiny. But America wasn't the only one interested in controlling the Western territories. At the time, Canada was made up of a number of colonies, collectively referred to as British North America. This one over here was owned by the Hudson's Bay Company, a British charter company dedicated to turning as many beavers as possible into as many felt hats as possible, as quickly as possible, and the indigenous people became a key supplier. As a result, the British were also eager to control the land out west and secure that region's valuable resources, and in particular, the Great Columbia River was deemed vital to the beaver business. So when it came to the question of what would happen to the border beyond the Rockies, the conversation went a little like this. The line should keep going straight because we're manifestly destined to gain the entire North American continent. No, we need this river so we can keep scalping beavers. Look, why don't we just draw the border along the river? That way we both have access to it. Well, that would be a completely fair compromise that protects the interests of both parties. And there's no way I'm ever going to agree to it! Having come to a roadblock, both sides simply agreed that for now, they would join...
That's how America was, dude. It's either you sign with us or we try to fuck you up. Keyword tried.
...occupy the Northwestern Territory. They were both free to settle and trade there. But rest assured, the agreement was only temporary.
Yeah.
Eventually somebody would get their way. Listen, Yank, we can jointly occupy this land, but I ain't sharing anything else. I don't want to see you using my toothbrush. I don't want to catch you wearing my underwear.
Okay,
and
whoa.
I don't want to catch you using my computer, and selling my data to advertisers.
Well, here's the
segue.
friend,
should use NordVPN.
There it is.
What the fuck? Do you like giving strangers your passwords to your most important online
that cat is
accounts?
staring at my soul,
Me
bro.
neither. And that's why I use NordVPN. NordVPN has thousands of secure servers in over 60 countries, allowing you to safely surf the net at the fastest speed possible. It works across all your devices, so you're protected on the go. Even 6 of them simultaneously. And it's super easy to use. With just the click of a button, you can head on over to South Korea and watch every single BTS video known to mankind. With NordVPN, you no longer need to worry about those shady websites, annoying pop-ups, or undesired eyes spying on your browsing history. And you can even unlock content that's been blocked in your country, like this video. It even comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So why not go to nordvpn.com/oversimplified to get a 2-year plan with a huge discount, plus an additional month for free. And as always, you'll be supporting my channel. So thank you. Now where were we? Oh yeah. Bickering over boundaries, manifesting destiny, and a joint occupation of Oregon. And one man living here who felt the territory should be British was James Douglas, the Hudson's Bay Company's no-nonsense chief factor at Fort Vancouver. Ah, what a beautiful, unspoiled corner of the British Empire. I've got my spotted dick, my Spice Girls fan club membership, and an unrelenting negative outlook on life that affects everyone around me. What are you looking at, Stephen? Yes. Truly British. What the?
Yeah!
The problem for men like Douglas was that many Americans had already begun streaming up the Oregon Trail. Gunslinging, howdy neighboring, diarrhea having. By the thousands, they were pouring into the Oregon Territory in search of land to settle and farm. This, however, crowded out the fur trade, and eventually, a very bitter Douglas and the other Hudson's Bay traders at Fort Vancouver were ordered to relocate north to a new base of operations. But the Americans keep coming and they don't stop coming. Hopped in their wagons and they hit the ground running.
You really just had to fucking pull the all-star fucking rap on us.
Didn't make sense to keep sharing Oregon when they outnumbered the Brits more than 6-1. And suddenly, the whole joint occupation deal was being called into question. Newly elected President Polk maintained that America had an obvious claim to the entire region, even implying a possible war with Britain. Fiery language from U.S. senators declared that American rifles would annihilate the Hudson's Bay Company in Oregon, and America even gave Britain notice that it was pulling out of the joint occupation agreement. The British were alarmed as the two sides stood on the brink of war. But in the end,
the amount of times that we almost went to war with fucking Britain, and now we're just almost best friends. Like, bro, what the fuck?
Neither truly wanted to fight. The British favored maintaining good economic relations, while the Americans had already gotten themselves into a war with Mexico. So after a bit of back and forth, the British finally said, fine, you wanted a straight line? There's your straight line. And so, the agreement was made. The border would continue directly to the Strait of Georgia. But because the British insisted they keep Vancouver Island, it would then move south through the center of the channel and on to the Pacific Ocean. Finally, the issue of the northwest border had been solved. Hold the phone. Discrepancy detected. Enhance frame.
There's a thing called
200%.
Alaska. No, just kidding.
Enhance.
Oh, yeah, those happens.
Enhance. Nope. Too far. Perfect. Now, show me the exact wording of the treaty. The line of boundary goes to the middle of the channel, and thence southerly through the middle of said channel? But there's loads of channels. So, you tell me, dear viewer, which channel is the treaty referring to? And therefore, who owns these islands? Is the wording of the treaty maybe a little too vague? Well, that's exactly the problem encountered by the people living in the area. The British insisted that the channel intended by the treaty was the Rosario Strait, and therefore, the islands were British. The Americans, on the other hand, argued that the intended channel was the Harrow Strait, and therefore, the islands were American. At times, the debate became rather heated.
I love how they had the fights and they're smack, 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 like with fucking straight lines. Like, I love that shit. Like, it's fucking funny. Like, he could easily make it to where he actually bend in the fucking.
What's going on? I'm right here. I was busy cash backing for the holiday.
Shut
Even the
fuck
individuals who
But like, he could easily have him like bend and actually punch. Just so fucking funny just that shit,
negotiated and signed the treaty, at times didn't seem entirely sure which channel the treaty meant, and representatives from the Hudson's Bay Company begged them to make it clearer. But thousands of miles away, the people in power simply had more to worry about than some tiny islands in the middle of nowhere.
Order! Order! Shut up!
All right, listen up. We got a lot to get through. The 7th Earl of Chissingham says he encountered a foul beast in the fields of Upper Fardingdom late last night and put this sketch together? That's a poor person, Darren. Ugh. Next, Lord Piddlingham says he has a new mole on his backside? How is that parliamentary business, George? Oh, some islands in the Pacific Northwest are in dispute and could lead to a war with America? Boring. Fine, let's take a look at that mole, George. And so, for now, the islands were simply held in dispute. Were they British or were they American? I'm sure this conflict won't cause anyone to die. And one man who thought the islands were undeniably British was James Douglas, now the governor of Vancouver Island. He had already once had American settlers encroach on his territory and force him to move. And by golly, he wasn't going to let it happen again. As far as he was concerned, those islands were not only British, but prime agricultural land. And given the chance, those glubby Yanks wouldn't hesitate to start pitching flags with their glubby little hands. And so, he came up with a plan. If the British settled the islands first, then that would surely secure them for Britain. And so in 1853, Douglas sent an Irishman by the name of Charles Griffin, along with some Hawaiian shepherds, to go set up a sheep farm on San Juan Island. And set up a sheep farm they did. The place was rammed with sheep, 1,369 to be exact. But within those flocks of woolly cowards could also be found a number of beautiful, prized Berkshire pigs. Oh, Porky, you look stunning. You're the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Would you perhaps like to go to the island ball together tonight? Oink once for no. Roll around in that cow crap if yes.
Yes! I'm covered in poo and I'm the luckiest man alive!
But life on the island for Charles Griffin wasn't to be a perfect paradise of pig pageants, because unfortunately for him, the Americans also believed the island was theirs. One day, in 1854, an American customs collector was sailing around the islands on the outlook for bands of native tribesmen when he spotted something. Aha! I've got you now, you savages. Over yonder. Those are sheep, sir. Sheep, you say? What are they doing here? Let's go and negotiate with them. Negotiate with sheep? Are you crazy?
I'm perfectly stable, you rat bag! Call me crazy again and I'll eat your eyes!
Hello, good sir. We request to speak with your leader. Out of my way. Allow me to parley with this foul beast. Hey, stop threatening my sheep. Your sheep? You mean to tell me that you, a British subject, have illegally imported these sheep into American territory? I'll have you know that you, an American, are currently trespassing on British territory. The Americans felt that they were entitled to collect taxes on the British property, because the island was American, and they threatened seizure if dues weren't paid. The British, meanwhile, threatened to arrest the Americans, because the island was British, and the two sides were in a standoff. To give Charles Griffin the legal power to deal with the American trespassers, Douglas said, "Hey, put on this wig." Boom, you're a magistrate now. And in turn, Griffin went to one of his Hawaiian shepherds and said, "Hey, I'm making you a constable. Put on this badge." The British then went off to arrest the US Customs Inspector. But, being an American, he emerged from his tent with 4 pistols and a giant knife, so the Brits had to back down. Eventually, raids by northern tribes chased the US officer from the island, but the Americans weren't done yet. Officials from nearby Whatcom County in Washington Territory believed the island fell under their jurisdiction, and they decided it was time to make the British pay up once and for all. They sent one Sheriff Barnes to go confront Charles Griffin. "Hey, you owe us $80.33 for all this farm stuff you got here. Go suck an egg." Oh, I see. So that's how it is, huh? That's how it's gonna be, is it? That's the way in which things are, eh? That be how it will, is it? Will it be how that is, huh? That
Okay, Yoda, calm the fuck down.
be the way in which things be the way they are, is that? Get off my property! So the sheriff and other Whatcom County officials felt they were now well within their rights to seize and auction off Griffin's sheep in order to recoup lost taxes. And who would they auction these prized breeding rams off to but themselves? Then, in a pretty chaotic scene, they worked to tie the rams to their boats. And when Charles Griffin came running to rescue his kidnapped sheep, being Americans, they pulled out guns on him, and he had to back down. In all, Charles Griffin lost 34 breeding rams, and he was furious. The British complained to the American government, who were shocked to hear what had been going on at their northwest border. And both governments told their officials in the area to back off. We're not trying to start a major war over some dumb sheep and a stupid island. But also, the islands are definitely ours. Under no circumstances let the other side have them. For now, both governments agreed to set up yet another boundary commission to decide which was the correct border. But it often devolved into petty bickering. The British did make one interesting suggestion, though. We could draw the border through this middle channel and split the islands between us. Well, that would be a completely fair compromise that protects the interests of both parties. And there's no way I'm ever going to agree to it! And in the aftermath of the sheep raid...
Wait, why do you have an AK-47? That's a fucking Russian gun.
James Douglas, still stationed at Fort Victoria, became even more cautious of American encroachment into his territory.
Even though this is the greatest rifle to ever be made.
Mr. Douglas, sir. It appears an Indian has discovered gold in the Fraser Canyon, just north of here. Shut up! Keep your voice down, boy. We can't risk those glubby Americans hearing about this, or our territory here will be infested with them. Oh no!
Hey boys. Put chairs.
And the blowout continues.
The Fraser Canyon gold rush attracted a heap of Americans to the region. Some got lucky. Most did not. And of those that didn't, rather than returning all the way home, many simply decided to settle in the area. And in particular, the juicy green pastures of San Juan Island were rather appealing. Believing the island was American territory, around a dozen American settlers moved there in the late 1850s. One of them was a man named Lyman Cutler, a young man in his mid-20s, and lazy as pie. He didn't want to have to clear a space in the forest to build his home, so he said, I'll just build my cabin right in the middle of this British sheep run. I'm sure that won't make anyone mad. When he planted potato seeds in his garden, rather than building a nice protective fence around them, he said, I'll just fence in 3 sides and hope all these British farm animals have a moral compass and respect my property rights. Griffin's pig was a Berkshire, well known for rooting, and Lyman's fairly pathetic fence made for a bad combination. Numerous times he had had to chase the pig away from his property, and he once angrily marched up to Griffin's home, saying, Hey, British farm idiot, keep your stupid pig out of my potatoes. It is up to you to keep your potatoes out of my pig. Griffin was furious with his new American neighbors. They built their homes all over his sheep pastures. And besides, what right did they have to be here anyway? It was British territory. Lyman, on the other hand, swore the local government had assured him his land claims were legitimate. And so to him, the British were out of line. Look at that sick freak. In love with his pig. Isn't that just sick?
Yeah, what a freak.
Not like our love, Spuddy. Ours is all natural. Yep, just a man and his potato. Nothing wrong with that. But the tension between Lyman and Griffin
Me as an Irishman. Oh, God.
was just about to explode. What the? Spuddy? All right, you damn dirty pig. That's the final straw. Lyman shot the pig.
Good.
After taking a second to calm down, he felt bad about murdering Griffin's prized boar. So he went to him and said, Hey man.
What?